Hello YouTube, welcome back. I'm Davros and I'm a Whovian. So, this is first and last reviews where I review the first and last adventures of every Doctor. So, today is the third Doctor, Jon Pertwee, 1970 to 1974. So, for the first part I am reviewing Spearheads from Space. Written by Robert Holmes, starring Jon Pertwee, Caroline John, Nicholas Courtney. So, 1969, they were planning to end Doctor Who there, but the BBC couldn't think of anything, so they decided to renew the show for another season. But it was, it was like forever, the day, but when it returned in 1970, it was seen as never before. For the first time ever, people that had a coloured television set could watch Doctor Who in colour. And also we had a new Doctor. New decade, new Doctor. January 1970, Jon Pertwee made his debut as the Doctor in the 4-part serial Spearheads from Space. So, taking off from where the War Games ended, the Doctor is forced to regenerate, or as it was before it was given that name, changed his face, and was exiled to Earth. So he's like in a state of shock, had his knowledge of time travel wiped from his mind, and forced to regenerate his body, and he's in recovery. Also, 2 little meteors land on Earth, which I think are which I'm assuming are the spearheads. Not only that, but we also see this also brings the Autons into it for the first time ever, which have made comebacks in the recent Who series. In fact, the very first episode of Series 1 in its revival in 2005. So, the Autons are attempting to invade, and the Doctor is recovering from his regeneration until he is fully recovered and is all better, and then goes out to stop the Auton invasion. But then he makes the discovery that he is exiled to Earth and he's earthbound, because the TARDIS won't work. So, therefore, he is forced to takes on a job on Earth, working as the scientific advisor for UNIT. So, what did I like about this? First of all, you see, I've lived with coloured telly all my life, but I can see what kind of a big deal it would have been back in 1970. I also like Jon Pertwee as the Doctor. He's a good Doctor. He's the second longest running Doctor, I think. Yeah. And that's so I like Jon Pertwee in this. He was great. I also like Nicholas Courtney as a supporting lead in this, and we also had Caroline John as Liz Shaw, who, in my opinion, is a very underrated companion. I don't hear enough people talk about her and stuff. So, I would like, people should. I'm surprised she's not mentioned enough. Also, we she's like the third Doctor's first companion. I think she's like the only companion, to my knowledge, who has never travelled anywhere in time and space with the Doctor. Because he was earthbound, and she only lasted for like 1 season, I think, or at least 1 year. So, yeah, Jon Pertwee was seen as like the James Bond of all the Doctors for his time, because he came up with loads of gadgets and gizmos and reinvented the sonic screwdriver. Although it was the second Doctor that originally made the sonic screwdriver, Jon Pertwee's Doctor changed the outside and the casing of the sonic screwdriver, which I thought was good. But we don't see that in this serial. But we do see him get a motor car, and of course in the next serial, The Silurians, he does get his own motor car called Bessie, which, again, the third Doctor is known for. So, I liked Jon Pertwee in this altogether, the Doctor. I also like Nicholas Courtney. I also like the Autons, even though you could tell there were people in mannequin suits. But again, it was the technology of its time. They still look good enough. Quite scary as well. I remember my mum saying that when they walked through, when she used to walk past window shops with dummies in, my grandma would always have to put, hide her eyes and walk her past it because she was that scared of them. And of course, the follow up to this serial is Terror of the Autons, which caused a lot of controversy with the way it was scary. But I'm not talking about that now. Maybe I'll review that someday, soon. And that, yeah. I also liked how the Autons sort of slowly started to attempt their invasion. They're also known for dropping their hands and firing at people. And yes, they've made a comeback in Modern Who. Probably not enough, but they've been in it. They've been in it. In fact, I can only recall 4 or 3 Doctor Who stories with Autons in. My likes in this, my dislikes. I didn't like how the Doctor was out cold though, recovering from his regeneration in the first 2 episodes. It's only at the end of part 2 that he manages to recover well enough and wheel out of the hospital and stuff and change clothes and everything and that. But when he does spring into action, you know he's won you over by then as the Doctor. And I thought this was a great way to start the coloured era of Doctor Who and Jon Pertwee's era. So, final thoughts, and so that's all I can think of dislike. The effects aren't brilliant, but again, technology of its time. This has been remastered as well, and put in HD and on Blu-ray. I haven't got Blu-ray, but I do have the DVD on that shelf somewhere. Okay, so final thoughts and ratings. I thought Spearheads from Space was a great story, great way to start the 70s and that. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Doctor Who Spearheads from Space, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 because I enjoyed it. Now for the next review, the last third Doctor story, Planet of the Spiders. Let's go. Written by Robert Sloman and Barry Letts, starring Jon Pertwee and Elizabeth Sladen. This is the final serial of Jon Pertwee as the Doctor. So yes, after the show took a big change for Jon Pertwee in 1973, Roger Delgado, his good friend who played the Master, was killed in a car accident whilst he was in Turkey, and they were planning a big showdown between them two. Also, Katie Manning decided to call it a day, so they had a new companion in, Elizabeth Sladen, who played Sarah Jane Smith, and is a popular among favourites as she's returned in the modern era and had her own spin-off. So yeah, for Jon Pertwee, it just didn't feel right, and he would, during breaks, he would go and answer his fan mail because he didn't want to be the Doctor anymore. But he gave us one final great show in Planet of the Spiders in 1974. So the story, it's 6 episodes. The Doctor and Sarah go to this temple where people do meditations and stuff, and they find a group of people that are worshipping spiders from Metebelis 3. Also, after the 10th anniversary special, The Three Doctors, Jon Pertwee's Doctor got his freedom back and his knowledge of time travel. So that was good. So he could go around time and space again in the TARDIS. The Doctor has to stop the giant spiders from doing what they're doing on Metebelis 3, and also faces fear. And this is a 6-part serial, like I've just said. So let's get on to the likes and the dislikes. First of all, I liked how we were introduced to another Time Lord in this called Choji, who was the Doctor's teacher and mentor. And the actor who played Choji, he was the first ever Centauran Lynx in the 1973 serial The Time Warrior. The second incarnation of Choji, that is. And that is when we first used the term regeneration for the first time. He went, "I am not dead, I am nearly regenerating." That was that was when it was finally given a name, the regeneration process. So I liked his character in that, Choji. I also liked the performance Jon Pertwee gave and Elizabeth Sladen gave in this. I thought the effects were cheesy as hell, but again, it was the 70s and they had to make do with what they got. Also, there was another scene in it which I thought was unnecessary. Well, it was this chase scene, and at the end, it was just like seemed a bit pointless when he could have teleported the whole time. I also so that's a dislike there. I didn't really like the spy. Well, I mean, I don't like spiders. I mean, I'm not scared of them, but I just don't like them. I like the spiders puppets in it. I mean, you could tell they were puppets; they weren't real. But again, 70s. What can you do? So part one, we never really saw one of the spiders until the end. And also the voice of the spiders. Now, if I'm right, I think it was Roger Delgado's wife, his widower, that voiced him. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. If you know, then please let me know down in the comments. I also enjoyed what is it? I also enjoyed the final 10 minutes of the serial in part 6 when Jon Pertwee's Doctor comes back from Metebelis 3 after getting lost in the time vortex. He's been exposed to crystal radiation from the Metebelis crystals and is poisoned and his body's wearing out. I loved that scene. It was such a great final performance from Jon Pertwee. It looks sad, but not too sad. Sarah Jane, Elizabeth Sladen did a great job, crying in this. Please excuse the noise if you can hear it outside. My mum and dad are watching the telly really loud in the next room. I just thought that final moment of Jon Pertwee was great, and then we had Choji who explained to Sarah that the regeneration, he'd become a new man, and he did. One dislike there was the regeneration effects. I thought they were a bit dull. I thought the regeneration from the first to the second Doctor was way better effective than the one we got at Planet of the Spiders. I don't know whether it's because they blew their budget on a lot of stuff in the serial. I don't know, but looking at that regeneration, just seeing him fade into Tom Baker was a bit rubbish. Other than that, the performance and that was good, but the regeneration was a bit crap. And then it just ends there. And of course, that is the end of Jon Pertwee's era as the Doctor. So yeah, we said goodbye to the Doctor. Jon Pertwee as the Doctor, and that's when Tom Baker took over, who is the longest serving Doctor. So we now have the final. Ratings. I'm going to give Doctor Who Planet of the Spiders. Again, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 because I enjoyed it. So, yes, that's pretty much it for this episode of First and Last Reviews. it was the Third Doctor. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and share. And also, all my social media links are all down below in the description. So be sure to do all that. And until next time, farewell.